Try Before We Die, the whiskey review show where we don't know what we're drinking, but we'll tell you what we're thinking. And Mal couldn't make it tonight, so I'm here with Meg.
Hello.
And Rick.
I think you're in my seat.
So, you've both been on the show before.
Yes.
Absolutely. You're both Scotch whiskey fans.
Yes.
Right. Any recent Scotch whiskey experiences? Anybody wants to just go, I just was in a circumstance where this happened.
So, about a week ago, we went to a house concert party, and after the show, there was beer and there was wine, but there wasn't whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just went to the host and I said, do you mind if I open a bottle of Scotch?
Mm-hmm.
Brought my own, just in case, because I always do.
Right.
And he just went like this. And he goes to a lower cabinet and pulls out a bottle. And the only thing that I can remember off of the label was Dufftown. And then it was a very white label with black lettering. And I can't remember the rest of what it was. And it was a really nice Scotch. It was smoky. It was peaty. It was an Islay. And so
all right.
now I need to figure out what that was.
Okay. So 2 things. It may not have been an Islay. Because Dufftown of Glenlivet, right? Dufftown itself is the distillery, right? We actually just got a bottle here of the Dufftown. It's over there, very high numbers in the mid 500s on a shelf. And so, but I've never had one, so it's interesting that you recall it being smoky and peaty, right? And again, as we know, a lot of peat comes from the Highlands, and so peated can come from other regions besides the Islas, right? But if it was a Dufftown, it would not be an Islay.
Okay.
Right. And I guess so both things were blended, and we have a bottle of Dufftown here.
Let's hope for it tonight.
Wonderful.
Yeah, right.
That's great.
Any recent Scotch experiences for you, Meg?
No, not recently.
Okay.
But I'm excited for tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
So speaking of that Dufftown that Rick brings up that he just got, we actually did just get this Glendevron here, this 8-year-old. This is a late 1970s bottle of Glendevron, right? And so again, and coming in at that minimum proof, right? It's got the 70 for the British proofing because it's pre the update in terms of standardization. But just always love those opportunities to taste those malts from a different era of whiskey production. So we've got this in the bar now, so it's available to be pulled. And it generally resides over there. Currently it's 17, 18, bottle 319 with some modern Glendevrons.
Wonderful.
Right, okay, you've both been on the show.
Yep.
We know the drill.
Yes.
You've met Green Randy Rick, Meg, your first time meeting Green Randy?
Yes.
Yeah. And but he works the same. So why don't you press the button, hold it for at least 5 seconds to allow things to get going, and let's see what we're going to open and review tonight.
Ooh.
418.
Let's see where that takes us.
This may put us on a shelf we've never been on. We'll see everybody over here for bottle 418. All right. Bottle 418. So I thought we'd be over here on this shelf, which we've never pulled from. But we're here. In a range and a family we've had many times. But tonight, we are going to open the very first numbered release, Aberlour A'Bunadh, batch number 6. The very first time they numbered a release. This is a 1999 distillate from Aberlour, and not the distillate, but the release. This is a Highland single malt Scotch whiskey with the Speyside labeling. It's their sherry finish, and I'm super excited. And batch number 6, everybody. We'll see everybody at the bar.
Did I hear a sob come from back there?
This is what this show is about, right?
Yes.
And there are plenty of bottles in this bar that would be like, oh, it would be painful. But we got to do what we got to do. And we set out to honestly open and review the collection of whiskey in this bar, regardless of what comes up. And we've said it so many times, whether you could get it today or good luck. This would be a good luck laying your hands on bottle. And we've been fortunate to have it here for a spell, not a long spell, but a spell. And the first time they put a number on the Aberlour A'Bunadh label, they had 5 batches before, where they just were releasing it. And somewhere in that process, in the late 1990s, they were like, oh, if this is what we're doing, we got to start putting numbers on it, right? That will matter to the world, right? Because we are having some changes. The ABV is shifting, the natural color shifts because of casking and all this stuff. And so they started at 6. And we're in the 80s now. So this is a 1999 Aberlour A'Bunadh. And so
Good pick, Meg.
Yeah.
we'll see what this process is like. Because oftentimes the wax is ready to peel. This may not be the case. So let's put the caps on those. Let's protect our waters. And let's see what it's going to take. So I'm going to try to come up a little bit on the thing. Roughly around where I believe the cork would be. Let's see what happens there. There's our cork line. All right. All right. All right, well, we've managed to expose the cork top.
Sure.
There we go.
There you go.
All right, and that cork looks not terrible. Right, again, right? These wax dips, it's nice. You often are pretty well protected from any angel share leaving the bottle. It's a good seal. So, see if we can just assist it for just a second. We've both had the Abunadh before?
Yes.
Yes. You and I think, have even done one on
I
camera.
believe we did.
Yes. Right. But, and so we may, generally we'll experience something fairly predictable, but it'll be interesting to taste this malt from essentially decades ago.
Right.
Decades ago. Also laying in sherry casks that were produced decades ago. So there's just something exciting about all that. So enough delay. Let's see if we can get this cork to turn free. And we cannot. But we have a fairly intact cork. So let's see what happens here. All right. We've got half a cork. And we're okay.
Now, in your vast experience with uncorking bottles, how many do you figure percentage-wise do you have a problem like this with? And is there a reason for it that you can determine?
Is there a reason? Well, the reason is that over decades, corks dry, right? Where's that knife? Right. And so it is not a bad idea in your private collections, if you have them, to spend time now and then moistening the corks, allowing for just enough slip to be maintained without losing, just like the vapor pouring out over time. As in any situation, panicking often yields not much. All right, so I think we've freed the cork. So the question now is, can we get it to come up versus down?
How long would you say this bottle's been in the collection?
Less than a year.
Okay.
Less than a year. This is a difficult bottle to come by. And sought out. Oh, okay. And sought after because it's the first numbered batches. Mm-hmm. The batches 1 through 5, excuse me, everybody, are difficult to know which batch you've got. So if you have an unnumbered batch, generally speaking, you just know that you have one of the first 5 batches. Mm-hmm. Here you have the first known batch from a date, right? So this is 1999.
Excellent.
And this is why we don't panic.
Excellent.
And I happen to know that I have another Aberlour cork in the cork drawer,
okay.
So we'll be all set. So we won't even need to clean this up later. So Now, I happen to know that all three of us have just had a dinner together.
Yes.
Yes.
So in many ways, we're about to have what I suspect will be dessert.
Yes.
Batch number 6. And what were we at? 59.9.
Wow.
Wow. All right.
Thank you.
Well, only fitting that batch number 6 would have required an unpacking, a deliberative process, earning the juice.
Yeah.
It didn't just give up the treasure from the very dry wax seal that cracked its way that we had to, for the first time, open from halfway up to a complete top failure, a very intact half cork, to a becoming dry and brittle cork, but yet getting it out cleanly, right? Reading the treasure map. Experience. I like that. All right. Well, let's take a look at this color. So we've got this. So, and we know natural cask strength, no color added, sherry finish. This is, sherry casks from the 90s, if not the 80s, used in this. Right. And so, this is the 1999 release. So at the very minimum, we're talking mid-90s distillate, and that would only be if this was 3-year-old whiskey.
Sure.
So we're probably talking about 1980s Aberlour malt certainly being a participant in this whiskey right now today. So again, in many ways, probably pre-computer and somebody determining in their overalls that this spirit is ready. Right? All right, color.
I gotta go amber,
Dark amber.
like a
Don't
dark
you think?
amber.
It's got a real richness.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Right. It
Almost a grade B maple.
it is very dark in the glass, right?
Yes.
Right. It moves beyond amber, right, into this dark amber. I like the grade B syrup, like a cooking grade syrup, which is the best. It's got the most flavor. There's nothing light or fancy about it, right? This is it's a significant color.
Like a burned sugar.
Like a burned, like a caramelized
sugar.
Yeah. Yep. All right. I agree with that.
And it's amazing with no color added.
Right.
That
Exactly.
you get this kind of a color.
Right. The depth.
The depth
Right.
of color.
It just makes me feel confidently, especially in 1999, that the sherry casks, we're not talking about sherry seasoned or sherry finished casks.
this is-
These barrels held sherry for a while.
And
Right.
shared with the whiskey.
Right. And again, think of it, right? They release the Aberlour A'Bunadh, right? No numbers, and they're just releasing it. And by batch 6, they're like, people are really liking this. We have to do a better job keeping track of things. So because the differences are present,
Yep.
right? So this is like part of that recognition that we're doing something. And to think now we're in the batch 80s, and they've kept at it. But
I've always liked their bottle shape too.
yeah. I do like that thick neck and
Squatty.
the wide open, right? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, shall we have a nose of a fairly old
Check the
Abunadh?
legs first. See what we got.
I didn't.
I've got some good sheeting.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sheeting, turning into some legs.
yeah. I'm just really hoping for mouthfeel on this.
Yeah.
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 It just looks thick.
It just got an oily look to it.
Yep.
It holds together
What was
so
the
well.
ABV?
59.9, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can tell that. On
All right, here we go. Rick's there. Oh,
Yep. Nice.
So there's some strength to it.
Yes.
But
Definitely.
there is some really nice light notes to it as well.
I mean, it's rich, it's sweet, it's wide. And I can't argue with the light notes as well. I mean, there's a complexity on this nose. Again, been in a bottle for 26 years.
Wow. But not overpowering.
Kind of like a summer meadow.
Definitely.
Okay. I mean, for me, I've had many of the Abunadhs, and this is an Abunadh for sure.
Definitely.
But it just has a richness to it. for me. It really is. It's got some. I mean, if
It's
you'll
got
just
depth.
look now, look at my glass.
yes,
look at
look at
that
that.
top line right there,
Yeah.
facing you.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That's what the nose is doing. It's present and just hanging. It's thick.
Definitely not overpowering. It's a really pleasant.
Right. No, not medicinal. The alcohol is not a factor. I mean, it's high ABV for sure. But that sherry is just the dominant. Oh, what was
Okay,
that?
now that it's been open for a little bit, are you getting any kind of a caramel
Well, I
or
just
something sweet like that?
What was that? Caramel, sure, a toffee, right? A burnt marshmallow. I almost feel like I had some butterscotch for a moment, but I'm not sure that I do. It is just such a smooth nose that is, for me, just so deep and rich. Right?
Yes.
I'm just super excited to try this. Aberlour, batch number 6. Mal.
I know. That's all I can think of. Isn't this one of his favorites?
He does like them. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. All right. Well, shall we try it?
Yes.
All right.
Please.
Cheers.
Cheers. Aberlour, batch number 6, 59.9. Abunadh.
Wow.
It's got a lot of oaky spice. It's got a lot. It's rich. It's warming. It is oily.
It's oily, but it's hot.
It's hot.
Spicier than it is sweet.
Yeah, it's very hot. Yeah.
Usually with that though,
I got you.
if you let it sit, the flavors are still there in your mouth,
Oh, yeah.
and so you just gotta wait for the.
This is probably the spiciest Abunadh I've had.
Yeah.
And that could probably speak to, in these early batches, I would hazard a guess that some of the whiskey they used was older than they use in today's
Sure.
releases,
Yeah.
right? Because there's a
Right.
different time in the whiskey market,
Yep.
the late 90s. Right? And they're like, oh, we have all these, let's try this, right? Oh, everybody seems to like this, right? And now they're into the batch 80s and they have this production of it. Whereas this is still in the very early days where they're sorting out, is this going to be something we're doing?
I can feel that one all the way down.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they're so short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I can feel all the way down.
Right, it's got a nice finish, right? It's got a
Yep.
very warm finish. For me, it's ending right about here,
Yeah.
right? Spending most of its time up here. But it is a whiskey that I'm super excited to bring a rounding component to with an accoutrement to sort of look at that spice and bring out that sweet. Because that spice is so present. But at the same time, I am encapsulated with sweetness around it, but the spice is the
Yeah.
dead center experience.
It's almost like those red hot cinnamons.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you bite into one.
Right.
Right, and quit the waiting game.
Yeah.
Yeah, right,
It's not an overwhelming spice, though. It's a nice spice.
right.
It's
And
definitely.
right, and for me, it's just really about the difference between this early release and the current releases, which now that we've had this, I really feel like this is probably an older whiskey
Nice.
before it hit the bottle.
And that would say something about the color too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, longer in the barrel is going to be.
It's going to bring out more, right?
color.
Right. There was a number of releases where the color got really light, and you're going to have that, right? But if the overall content spent a lot more time in a barrel, you're going to get a richer color.
Yeah.
Even when we were at Glenfarclas, they showed us the fresh make in the barrel, and then just a couple years in the barrel, and it was a significant difference of color. And so if we've got some 20-year-old whiskey in here, right, with some younger whiskey to
Yep.
get to this place, but
And you said this was a Speyside?
It's a Highland
Highland.
but they are all Highland. All Speysides are Highlands, but not all Highlands are Speysides. So they'll go with Speyside, but also in the Highland region.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of these distilleries predate the regional designation.
Gotcha.
So they used to just all be Scotch whiskey.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. And definitely Speyside, I think, was the last region added, if I have that correct.
Okay.
We'll give it our best to find out. What would you do with a whiskey like this?
I'm thinking one of those plums.
All right. A
Dried
plum. Yeah. And we've got all these chocolates and ginger and nuts and some pineapple. Meg, what would you do?
Do you have a cheese?
We've got a smoked Gouda, and we've got a New York soft cheddar that's out at room temperature. It should be pretty
cheddar.
creamy. All right.
Creamy cheddar would.
So Meg's after some creamy cheddar.
Okay.
Rick's after a plum. I feel like with all this spiciness, right? I mean, the Aberlour go-to, of course, is this orange chocolate. You can't go wrong, right? But I've got a chili chocolate over here. And so I'm going to have a little bit of that chili chocolate and just try to pick up some sweet spice to add to this sweet spice.
Nice.
Okay. See, I was trying to counter the spice.
Yeah. Dark, chili dark chocolate. All right.
I think the chocolate might have been the way to go.
Oh my gosh.
Spicy.
You have fireworks going?
It's just such a phenomenal sweet spice. Wow. That's the one. And not to take away from your plum or your cheese, right? But that's plummy and cheesy. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Great.
And I've never done this chili chocolate with a whiskey before. I'm so thankful to have had it on the table today. So I'll gush a second about that. Rick, how was the plum?
It was really nice. It complemented the whiskey, complemented the plum, the whiskey, and so
Yep.
good combination. But I already took a piece of
Yeah.
And Meg, how was
It was good, but I'm really interested in trying your chocolate. After you sold that.
Well, I'll help you out.
you.
I'll help you out. Wow, batch number 6, right? A unique experience. Just awesome to have you guys here to have it with me. Again, that's the foundation of Try Before We Die, right? It would be a bummer to not be here and have this on the shelf. So I'm here, and we opened it. So thanks very much. I'm going to get this
I think
going
you're in
again.
my spot.
Sorry.
But let's see what the crew has for us. Hopefully, it can be to the laughter, the love, and all the little things.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for all the
This is
contributions to the bar. Wait till you're ready. Have you done the chili chocolate
I
and the
just
whiskey?
did. That's great.
Right, because that chocolate is just sweet with just a spice on the end, and it just matches this
Wow.
And
whiskey.
the chili is bright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Aberlour A'Bunadh, batch number 6. Yeah, if you ever have an opportunity, find yourself something sweet with a little bit of spice to go with it, because it's a sweet and spicy whiskey.
With a bearded man and a British guy.